short and long-term plans, changes we can expect to see to the special ed program, because our children are very young, so I'm wondering, will there be learning centers for them in a couple of years, a MAD program? What do you see in the future?
So Carlson Emery's not going away, right? I mean, that's not at all, right? Unless there's something I don't. No, okay, all right, good. Well, I should look at them because they'll So again, I think part of and this I think goes back to the communication challenge that Julie was talking about before, right? How do we effectively help people understand that all means all, right? And we're talking about all children, are also differentiating and being specific about what we're doing for kids or for parents and kids who need to know a little more about what's going to happen with their particular children, right? Outside of the IEP process. So we are, again, inclusion is really, really important to us, and we've increased that, and we'll continue to. The early childhood work is really, really important to us, and we've increased that. We're always looking at ways of doing that. We've increased our professional development of teachers, and some of that is around things like universal design for learning. Thank you. Some of that is just around the Common Core work that we're doing, which is what we described before, right? So your son is in kindergarten? First grade, right? So they. Yeah. Oh yeah. Not. No. So there's always, and I apologize for not answering the question directly. So I'm amazed at how many rumors get thrown out there that have nothing to do. Like, I just wonder where they came from, no, there's no plans to eliminate that at any time that I know, unless somebody knows something that I don't. Nope. Yeah. And I just finished my budget. Those have been chosen to phase those out a few years ago. We are continuing to phase out the high school. We could probably go more into a little more detail around that.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
Oh, the question was the phase out of the middle and high school learning centers, right? Which was a decision made a few years back, and we're in I think we're in our final year. Next year will be our final year of phasing in. So I think there are a couple different pieces of it. This is really the big challenge. One is we know that it is this total balance we're always in. We know that there are some kids who need to have special ed programs, right? That the typical or the inclusive program just won't work for them. And we know we need to increase inclusion significantly. So we're trying to find a balance between those two. I can't speak to all the decisions that were made, all the reasons why it was decided to phase all of that. I know other people could probably speak to that. But again, this is why the IEP process is so important, right? Because that's where you sit down and figure out what is it. And we've increased, if you look at our budget, we've increased our services, the dollars we put behind our services significantly, which is a good thing. I'm happy that we are. Which doesn't necessarily mean a program, right? And in fact, in special education in the country now, the move, which is the right move, is away from program, right? Which in many ways, and I don't want this to sound, well, I worked in New York City, so I know something about this, right? Sorry, all my New York City friends, but it protects people, it protects adults, not kids, programs oftentimes, right? You have a certain program, you have certain people who have been doing that program for a long time, and this is what was happening in special education in the country for a long time. This is why they made the move away from that. Say, well, kids then, the IEP is not about the individual kid, it's about which program do you put them into, right? And it's really good for adults, it's not necessarily so good for kids. So the shift has been, let's put the money into services around the individual child. The child, and then there's some kids, if you have enough kids, you can start a program, of course. But it's got to be about the kid, not about which box you're going to fit them into. It does become a challenge when you know that, you look, I used to work in a self-contained program. It does become a challenge when you know that some of what we're required to do under the law regarding inclusion doesn't always match with what you can gain from having a really powerful self-contained program, but we're just always trying to balance that. Hi.
My name is Lisa Sandler, and my son is in the bridge program, the local is in the funded bridge program.